Hello everyone, my name is Yuan Xiao and I go by the name Calvin. So in this video I will talk about the process towards the final design proposal, which includes what research that I've done along the way and what influenced my process that brings me to the end design. So first, a short introduction about my project. It is a project that discusses and explores topics that are very real in our society and is happening to our society right now. Today we live within a society that finds authority through celebrity culture, where a remarkable array of political, cultural, and economic activities is dictated by the action of a handful of celebrity stakeholders. This project is an exploration into the collision of popular culture, celebrity culture, and current political and perhaps the propagandistic tactics seen today. My approach to my project this year is that I do a lot of testing of ideas on several topics within the realm of celebrity culture and politics, including social media manipulation, celebrity-driven society, celebrity endorsement, and celebrity politicians, to name a few. And from all this continuous testing and creating different iterations alongside with some architectural theory influence comes my final design proposal. So ultimately, my design proposal is a statement to portray the reality of the real-world shift towards a culture built on the idolization and unflinching acceptance of the celebrity. And first, I will start with where the idea of manipulation comes from. In the beginning, I looked into conspiracy theories about social media and pop culture. At that point, I was influenced by the book Learning from Las Vegas, where it talks about architecture in Las Vegas uses symbolism as a form of expression or reinforcement of content. This is to attract tourists and customers to boost the economy. So in a way, it is to manipulate or change human behavior through symbolism architecture. When I research into pop culture, it is defined as the mass celebration of manipulation of commercial objects, which includes symbols and objects. Pop culture icons have played a great part in constituting the world around us as cultural signifiers. So this brings me to research on celebrity culture from the perspective of Taylor Swift's fandom. One of the reasons is because I myself is a big Taylor Swift fan, and I know that she uses a lot of symbolism and hidden messages throughout her career to keep the fans engaged. It is a manipulation in a way. So I attempt to do some analysis of her music videos, did some experiments on how her music and music in general affects our emotions. One of the experiments was influenced by Bernard Shumi's drawing, where I transcribed Taylor Swift's music video scenes into geometrical drawings to represent different spaces and rearrange and organize the spaces into a journey. Through this experiment, it actually brings me into the research on music, festivals, and temporary structures, because it is a journey for the fans to experience. One of the biggest influences in my design is Mark Fisher's temporary architecture for entertainment, where he designed all these stage sets for music shows. Next influence is Archigram's Instant City, where a whole city was set up and dropped within a small town. And Instant City is actually inspired by the architecture of outdoor pop concerts, with everything being temporary and instant. Cedric Price's Fun Palace and Interaction Center are also one of the design inspirations. He believes that buildings should serve the needs of the people and be radically transformed or demolished if they no longer serve their purpose. So these different architectural theories and styles also influence my final design proposal. In the meantime, I also looked into celebrities' private and public moment and tested on the idea of what if architecture is a merchandise, blurring the boundary of domestic and professional life, where the life of celebrity is treated as merchandise. With all the influence from the research, this is one of the first design ideas to represent the idea of putting the life of celebrity on stage 24/7. When it comes to situating the project, I looked into Cornwall in general and the issues in Cornwall. The idea at that point was to pop up Cornwall with a drop-in festival inspired by Archigram's Instant City. This is where the massive turning point of my project happens, the G7 Summit infiltration. Inspired by the G7 Summit that is going to be held in St. Ives, Cornwall, I looked into the political purpose of the summit, the aspects of the Cornish identity being used to connect into political tactics. I started to experiment with the idea of reformation of Cornish identity with a festival, where I also researched on the effect of G7 Summit to the locals, such as protest, celebrity political endorsement, and celebrity politicians in general. And it brings me to this research on highly curated celebrity politicians, where the intertwining or collision of both pop and political happens. These similarities of pop and political world inspired the purpose and program of my design proposal, and that's where the word political came from. So with a couple more design development and iterations, I've reached the spectacular political. Like I mentioned, this narrative and speculated world is all informed by the research, events, and political moments that's happened in real life and all the experiments that I've done. So in this narrative, the design proposal is based on a reimagined G7 summit to represent and normalize the celebrification of politics through media oppression and celebrity politician tactics. The site is in St. Ives Harbour, Cornwall. Different events and design interventions are scattered around the site in this festival. That is the Spectacular Political, a celebration of manipulation. Shown in this portfolio is a series of events and key moments that occurs before, during, and after the Spectacular Political. So based on the research and real-life event, these few images represent the highly curated political press conference that's happening before the event and how it actually affects St. Ives local and tourists. Discussions and debate happen among supporters and non-supporters in local pubs while the construction and setup of the event is going on. To maintain a curation and perfect shots of the event to be broadcast, local buildings are covered up and as well as covering up Cornish deprivation with LED panels as a facade. Then comes the protest against the infiltration of the event, where part of the material are sourced from the fabric used by the protesters. The first design component to support the event is the Hoist Me Up, a mobile lifting platform lift for the crew to get perfect shots of the event. And there's another addition for the fans to get a closer look on their beloved idols on the stage. While the red carpet is for the celebrity politicians to get closer to their fans and supporters, and at the same time for celebrity endorsement to happen, where everything is highly curated. This is the spectacular stage where all the main curation happens. It includes a propping system to support the trailer pad above existing buildings to provide behind the scene and preparation spaces for the curation. All the trailers, media vans, and food stalls line up in the waiting area to be transported to the main stage. The spectacular stage also includes this meeting go-round, where each country's politicians can get equal access to screen time with a rotating system, and depending on each country's PR team. The moment at the backstage includes careful curation for each of the scene by the director and PR team, and a stage set is used to create these moments and to be broadcast globally. The backstage includes a pulley system to help change sets and props and convey agreeable content globally. In this section, you can see the existing buildings with the LED panel as facade to cover up flaws and ensure perfection for global broadcast. Locals still live within the buildings and the spectacular pillars, where broadcasting screens are attached to the propping system to accommodate the need of keeping up with the spectacular political event. One of the interventions that comes out of it is the Pasty Illuminant, endorsed by Taylor Swift. It is to ensure people living in the buildings that are covered up by the LED panels can get artificial lightings that emulate real sunlight. So this image shows the curation happening within each country's PR team backstage. And the next is the new type of Airbnb where supporters can book to live within the manipulation. And finally, some locals that are unhappy because of the infiltration. So all the structures can be reused for other St. Ives local festivals, such as St. Ives Food and Drink Festival and St. Ives September Festival. So the design proposal actually showed the before, the during, and the after of the spectacular political, where the main objective is to portray as a statement to the reality of the real world shift towards a culture built on the idolization and acceptance of celebrity politicians, a celebration of manipulation. Thank you for listening.